Hello, everyone. If you are someone who's looking to give the CAPM or the PMP exam and are confused on which one of these is best suited for you, then this is definitely the right video. In this video, I'll be going through what are the prerequisites required for each of these exams and how one can determine which is the best exam suited for them. So, with that said, let's get started. Now let's look at what is the PMP and the CAPM exam on the first place. So PMP stands for a project management professional, while the CAPM designation stands for Certified Associate in Project Management. These are both offered by the Project Management or the PMI Institute. So both of these examinations do fall under the same PMI Institute. What are the prerequisites that is required in order to sit for this exam? So if you're looking for the CAPM exam, you need either an associate degree or a high school diploma or 1500 hours of project experience, or you can compensate all your degrees and your project experiences by a 23 hours of project management education. So this is basically the PDUs. You can go and get a training of 23 hours under a REP, registered authority of PMI. If you are looking for the PMP certificate, if you are looking to write the PMP certificate, you will need at least a high school diploma or an associate degree, 7,500 hours of either leading, assisting, or directing in projects, and 35 hours of project management experience. So, this 35 hours of project management should be under an authorized PMI registered person. Okay, so they have to be PMI registered in order to get your 35 PDUs. Or you can compensate that by a 4-year degree with 4,500 hours, that is roughly 3 years. So, 3 years of project management, real life experience, and 35 hours of project management education. So, you can see the difference over here in both the prerequisite, the hours. Like, even though you need for writing a PMP, you need actual practical real life world experiences where you have done some project management in your office hours or something. But for a CAPM, you don't need that, right? You can compensate that 1500 by just getting the 23 hours of your project management education. But that's not the case. Over here, you will need that 35 hours of project management, plus you will need that 4500 hours of real life experience also. Now, let's look into the format of the exam. In a CAPM exam, you have only 150 questions, while for a PMP, you'll be required to answer. Let's look into the format of the exam. If you look at the CAPM, there are 150 questions that are asked, while in the PMP, it's 200 questions. The duration, if you look at the smaller version, that is the CAPM, it's 3 hours, but for PMP, it's longer. That's 4 hours. There are also some sample test questions that they usually ask. So over here, you can see the sample test questions is 25 that they ask, but for a PMP, it's just 15. What is a validity? Once you have got your CAPM registration, you can keep that title with you for 5 years, after which you will have to either reappear for the CAPM paper again, or you may decide whether you want to upgrade to a PMP, and then you can go ahead and write your PMP exam. But once you get your PMP designation, you have 3 years to renew your certification. So, mind you, in 3 years, all you have to do is collect 60 PDUs. You don't have to go ahead and rewrite your PMP. If after 3 years you do not have that 60 PDUs, you do not renew your certification, and let's say down the line, maybe after 4 years or maybe after 7 years, you say that yes, I need to have that PMP designation again for my resume or my job profile, then you will have to rewrite the PMP. But if every 3 years you are able to submit the 60 PDU claim to the PMI Institute, then you do not need to rewrite that PMP certificate again. As far as exam difficulty is concerned, you can see that the CAPM is very moderate. So mostly the questions are straightforward. The reason for that is they are not expecting people, uh, because having a real life experience is, in project management, is not a prerequisite. They will not ask you a lot of situational questions. They are not going to expect you to know how you should be thinking from a mind of a project manager. But for a PMP, the difficulty level is much higher, because over here you are somebody who's already gained that project management experience that's required, and you are mostly at a project manager level, or you are somebody who's transitioning into project management. So they are expecting you to answer all that situational based questions, because they're expecting that you have already tried and implemented them in your real life. You can see that the CAPM is much cheaper. It's just 225 US dollars to write, while for the same thing in PMP, it's around 405. So it's almost double the price to write the exam. Now, what is the application process? Let's see what's the difference between the CAPM application process and the PMP. The application process, if you see, is the same for both. You have to go into PMI, you have to register yourself, you have to submit your proof of 23 or 35 PDUs, you will have to write your, submit your educational certificates. So the application process is more or less the same. Again, the CAPM and the PMP applications both have equal chances of getting audited. So that is also one more thing you want to keep in mind, that all the certificates and all the work experience that you submit, do keep in mind that they should be genuine, and there should be supervisors who are ready to vouch for you and sign for you, saying that yes, he or she has done these kind of work under me. Same thing, you have 3 attempts in 1 year. If you fail, you have almost 3 attempts that you can do in a year's time. So, coming to the very final question, when should you opt for a CAPM and when should you opt for a PMP? Like all the videos that I've shown you from before, if you are a person for who lacks real world project management experience, then the CAPM exam is something you can go to. If you are a fresh student or a professional who's just trying to enter into the project management sector of your industry, then CAPM is more easier, because again, the fees is less. You don't need real life world experience in project management, so you are able to prove to the committee that CAPM is a level that you can attain. If you are, again, if you're a student and you want to have that extra edge in your resume, then you may want to go ahead and put a CAPM designation, because it shows the hiring person that yes, he or she is interested in project management, and maybe down the lane at some point this person is looking to transition their role as a project manager or a senior project manager. Again, if you're looking for roles as project coordinator, assistant project manager, these kind of designations, when you look at the job application, they don't usually ask for PMP. They are actually asking for a CAPM, because you are not going to take the entire control of the project. You will be working under a project manager who will basically guide you. And in a real world, which is a more preferred designation? So I would say, if you are looking to become a project manager, and if you have those 4,500 hours or the 7,500 hours of real life work experience as a person managing projects. So look at this, your designation does not need to be project manager, but you have managed projects in your day to day work, then it is better to go in for a PMP designation. You may have to study longer. The exam application process is more tedious. The exam is more difficult, but this is a certification that holds more value than a CAPM. And this will also help you in your career growth and also in your job applications moving forward. So when we look at what are the books that you want to refer as a CAPM, I would definitely go ahead and ask you to start reading the Head First PMP, mainly because the jargons, the terms that you will be hearing in a project management world is explained as a very basic beginner's level. They cover a lot of things in project management for a very newbie. If you're somebody who has absolutely no experience in project management, then this is definitely the book you can go for. Then, of course, there is Rita Malkahi, or that's also called as the RMC book, but she does not have a CAPM version out yet. So I will ask you to go ahead and go through the PMP version, because that will help you more in understanding. Also, the questions may be a bit on the higher side. In your real life CAPM exam, you may not get such difficult questions. And finally, the PMBOK guide. Right now, it's the sixth edition that you will have to go through, because that's where the CAPM syllabus matches a lot. So I hope with this you are able to find an answer of, if you are a person who's confused whether on which examination to take, whether the CAPM or the PMP, then with the tips I have told you, I hope you are able to answer the question. So with that said, happy studying for your exam.